The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly podcast coming to you on May 31st, 2021. Happy Memorial Day to everyone here far and wide. Again, appreciate all the soldiers who have served and do serve our beautiful country, the United States of America, of course. Anyway, how you guys doing? It's actually been quite a while since we've done a solo pod on here. I actually, last week, did a podcast with three guys, first-timers on the show. They host the Mindless Musings podcast, one of my favorite wrestling podcasts to listen to. But prior to that, I hadn't done a podcast in 2 weeks. And the reason why I hadn't done a podcast in a while has been I've been doing a lot of stuff lately, a lot of personal things here. Nothing horrible necessarily, but about a week and a half ago, I had a major toothache. And I don't know where it came from. And it got to the point where I actually had a choice, because I started taking a bunch of like ibuprofens and stuff. And for the record, things are bad with me when I'm taking pills. I hate taking pills. Anybody knows me. You can ask my wife, my mother, you name it. I hate taking pills. I don't care how big or small they are. It could be little allergy pills. It could be a Tylenol. It doesn't matter. I hate taking pills. So if I'm taking pills for to relieve pain, something's bad. And I think the only other time I remember taking a lot of pills in one like time or a few days of when I was suffering was like, I think a couple years ago I had like a major back issue, which I was forced myself to take pills just to kind of alleviate the pain. But other than that, typically, I just don't like taking pills unless like allergies. I take it because it's small, but I hate taking it because you have to remember to take it this time, and I hate all that shit. But I am 41 years old now, so I have to be a little more conscious and stuff, and of things of that nature. So I had a really bad toothache, and we weren't sure what the issue was. So we decided to go to the dentist. Near my house. Now, this is the embarrassing part here for me, and I'm not going to reveal too much here, really, honestly. But I haven't gone to the dentist in a long time. Now, I almost don't even want to admit how long, but let's say it's been a very, very long time. I don't have dental insurance. I find dental insurance pretty expensive because even when you get it, you're still paying a lot out of pocket anyway. I do try to take care of my mouth as much as I could, but I haven't gone to this in quite a while. So when I went to the dentist, I went there for a free consultation. First off, to address the issue with the painkillers, what was going on with me. Okay, but it turned out that first off, there's an infection in my top wisdom tooth. Okay, first off, so I got 2 wisdom teeth apparently. Actually 4, really, but there's one especially I need to be taken out. I need to take out all 4 wisdom tooth, okay? Then they're saying also I need to pull a tooth on the bottom, but it's impacted because I need to do a root canal at some point. And then, supposedly, the bones on my teeth in the front, my front 4s, my bottom 4s, apparently the bones are starting to weaken now. And that they're suggesting at some point, if I don't take care of that I'm going to need either dentures or implants of that nature. So there's so much issues and stuff. And the whole thing, because basically they did they ran a whole test on my entire mouth of things I need to do, things I need to, whether it's cosmetic or just for, pain or whatever it may be. So they ran a whole thing, and I go to the front, and it basically said that everything to take care of my entire mouth, to get either / implants or dentures, or to get the root canal, to get teeth pulled, etc., it would cost me upward of $13,000. I'm like, holy shit! Are you serious? $13,000? Like I know dentists are expensive. Let's be real. But I don't have $13 just lying around. You know what I'm saying? You know, we try to save money in this house, and it's for a rainy day and whatnot. But I ain't trying to spend $13 this on a whim. I'm a middle class guy, man. So we were going to actually try to do this day by day and process by process. You know, obviously the biggest issue was, of course, trying to alleviate the pain. So each wisdom tooth coming out was about $300 plus, per tooth. They suggested taking Augmentin, or which is to basically kill the infection, and also give you ibuprofen to alleviate the pain. Now, luckily, the Augmentin has worked because the pain has gone away. It went away pretty much in like 4 days in. Now, the side effect of the Augmentin, of course, and here's another embarrassing thing. When you take medication, there's always side effects. One of the side effects, of course, is diarrhea. One's headaches, one's diarrhea. And both I experienced. And yes, I've had, you keep trying to admit this, but I've had a few accidents. Let's put it that way. Luckily I was at home for those, but still, it's kind of embarrassing. I say it's embarrassing, then I talk to people around me, it's like, I've done that before. Big deal. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be as worried about all these things, like being embarrassed by these things. Because, the fact of the matter is, things happen, you live and you learn and you just go through it, and that's it. But right now, I'm not in pain anymore. My mouth has been good. I will address some of these issues some point down the road. I just don't want to dive into something that I'm not prepared for in terms of money, in terms of financials. I'm not going to just pour in $30,000 on a whim because that's not going to happen, So hopefully we'll address these things later in the year when I need to. But right now, the big issue about my pain in my mouth, that's gone for the time being, which means the infection's probably gone. Now, I still need to get the tooth pulled at some point. I'm looking to do that probably later in the summer, or sometime in the summer, rather. I just at least getting the pain gone for the time being, to at least become a regular human being again. Because, oh my God, I mean, that pain that was going through that week was, oh my God, it was horrible. It was horrible. And again, I can't keep living on meds. I can't keep, depending on ibuprofen. I don't want to ruin my fucking kidney. If I keep taking, ibuprofen, it's going to ruin my, what is she saying? Kidneys or my whatever it is. Like, if you take too much pills, at some point you're going to ruin your other organs. I'm not trying to do that. So, anyway, that's why I didn't record for a good while. And I haven't done a solo podcast, really, in quite a while. Now, you may have noticed on this feed, if you do follow this feed, if you subscribe to this podcast on any of the podcast catchers, of course, which you subscribe to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, you notice some episodes that has kind of popped up in the last 24 hours. Short episodes. I decided, and I know I've done this before in the past, but I think this time I'm sticking to it. I have my other podcast, the Unfiltered Podcast, I've been doing, for the last couple of years. It's a shorter podcast, topic-centric. I decided to just throw those episodes onto this feed and just kill that feed. Because at this point, it makes no sense, to separate podcast feeds just because. It's better for people to find all my work related to the same thing in one feed. You know what I'm saying? The idea at the time was, the reason I did that was because I didn't want to clutter the entire podcast feed. The problem is, though, I don't think I do enough podcasts a week to clutter it. So what's the point? So I decided to just move those episodes over to the side and then just kill that feed. So at some point in this couple of days, that feed will be gone. The Unfiltered feed. So if you are subscribed to the Earnestly Unfiltered podcast, you can go ahead and unsubscribe. But all those episodes I did record, I'm going to merge them over to this side, and any short episodes I do going forward will be done on this feed because it's easier. It's just easier to follow that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you notice. That's why if you notice some of the episodes that kind of just came out of nowhere on this feed, that's why. So make it easy for you guys, man. Instead of having to subscribe to like 4 different podcasts, whatever, make it easy for you guys. I already do enough I have this show. I have my wrestling podcast to do once a week. Take 3 Wrestling. My wife and I are going to be relaunching our show very soon. That's All Christian. So that's 3 shows right there. So at least make the palette easier for you guys to follow my work. So anyway, also in the last couple weeks as well too. We actually adopted a new cat in our house. This is actually a male cat now. His name when we got him, I believe was Ross. But we changed the name because we have a tradition in this house that all the pets, any pets in this house we do have, has to end with the letter, with I or E or IE. So all the pets that my wife and I had in this house had since we've been together. We had Lily, we've had Trixie, we currently have our dog Osie. And now we have our cat. We changed his name from Ross to Ozzy. Kind of like Ozzy Osbourne. He's a male, as I said, male cat. He's all black. The reason my wife named him Ozzy because she thought of Black Sabbath. And he's all black, not just his body, even his paws, all black. I love it. I picked the cat right away. And it's kind of weird for me too because I've been a dog guy all my life pretty much. I was really never a huge pet person in general. Like I've had dogs that passed as a child, but I was never someone that needed a pet. And then when my wife and I got together and about a couple years into our relationship, when we started living together, we had decided, if we're going to have kids, we should at least probably get some pets before we have kids. So we had gotten dogs and stuff and then cats. I love my dog. I love all the dogs I've owned in my time. Like we had a dog named Brandy. You probably remember back in the early days of this podcast, I had 2 dogs and now down to 1. She didn't die. We gave her away because she was getting aggressive with my kids. She's doing well, by the way. We know where she went. She's doing well. It was with a friend of the family. But one thing I don't think I realized till probably recently is that as much as I love dogs are high maintenance. And it's more annoying now for me having 2 kids. And look, I'm not complaining about my dog. I love my dog. Obviously, I don't know how much time I have with him. He's 12 years old. He's had some issues recently, but he's doing well. He's fighting. We'll probably have him at least for another couple of years. We'll see. And I love my dog, Osie. I love him. I've had him since he was 5 months old. So he's been with us for 12 years. But cats are so easy. I mean, honestly, and I was telling my wife recently, as much as I love Osie and I love dogs, once he passes, honestly, I'm not getting another dog until the kids get older. Because I just don't want any more added responsibility. Like a dog, you have to walk it, you have to feed it, you have to, be doting to it. And I'm not complaining that you do those things, but when you have children and you have a work schedule and all these things going on, and a podcast and all this stuff, it's so much to do in a certain span, and it needs attention. Cats don't need that much attention. Cats, you can leave a cat in your house for literally a weekend. Go away for a weekend and come back. As long as his litter box is clean, as long as he has enough food to eat and water and whatnot, that's all you need. Cats are very well efficient animals. Very self-sufficient animals. Dogs need people at their beck and call. You got to board a cat, for example, board a dog, for example, or find someone to walk it every so often for you. Every time you go away, which has not been common recently, but when we had to go away to California or go away for a weekend or for a week or whatever, we need someone to watch our dog. We need someone to watch our dog or take our dog and let him out. And with cats, is all you do. A cat, you need someone to check in every 3 days. I can go for 2 weeks and have someone check on the cats every 2-3 days. As long as it has food in the bowl, litter box is clean, or whatever, good to go. So I find myself now becoming a cat person. My wife is a big cat person. I find myself becoming that, not to the level she is, but I do find myself, appreciating that a little more cats more than I have in a long time, or ever, for that matter. So, yeah, new cat, enjoying them. We have 2 cats in the house now. We have now Mochi, which we got shortly after our last cat died, Trixie, and now we got Ozzy. So, there you go. Also, tomorrow I am going to be getting my second vaccine shot. On the Unfiltered pod, which as I said is going to be disabling. I moved the episodes to this feed, like I said. I did get my first shot a month ago. As I said, my job had started recently in the last couple of weeks. Started to open up our place to where we're allowing customers and now employees itself to become mask optional. This is because of our state of Florida and our governor opening up things. Basically undoing the mask mandates, and our county has actually also followed through with that. Which by the way, I agree with. I do. We're at a point now where people get vaccinated and whatever. We got to get back to normal. You know what I mean? But you guys probably know when on this show that I had some apprehension about getting vaccinated. Not that I didn't want to get vaccinated. Well, let's be real. I hate needles, so I don't want any needle in my arm. But I had questions. I had concerns. I wasn't anti-vax, but I had concerns. Ultimately, I did get the first shot. Like I said on the little mini episode, the first shot was, it wasn't that bad. I had maybe a couple hours where I was a little fatigued, whatever, maybe a little headache. Obviously the arm hurt, was sore, which you could obviously alleviate by massaging and then making sure your arm stays active. Luckily, I'm a poker dealer, so my arm is always working anyway, especially the left arm. So yeah, tomorrow will be my second shot. I actually took the day off of work on Wednesday because I'm already going to assume that with the second shot, I'll be on my ass at least 24 hours after the shot. So I built in already request a day off of work. I'm not even going to play with the idea of going to work to leave early. I put in a request weeks ago to take off of work because I just assumed that I'm going to be on my ass after the second shot, and hopefully I'm not. Hopefully I'll be able to function like a normal human being, but I don't want to take that chance. Everybody I talked to have said, for the most part, have had the second shot's been the one that's kind of knocked them on their ass. So I'm just going to play by ear like that and go from there. But I have the next couple of days off. I'll hopefully just relax and kind of, recover. Hopefully the impact won't be too serious. So, okay, NBA playoffs. Okay, we are still in the first round. Well, unless you're a Miami Heat fan like myself. They got swept by the Bucks 4-0. I actually, look, now, I didn't do a prediction pod on the playoffs, but I did think the Bucks were going to win that series. But no way in hell did I think they got swept. The Bucks will sweep the Heat. Never did I think it was going to happen. Did a mini podcast a couple days ago, shortly before the Heat were swept, about the future of the team and the state of the team. I'm actually scheduled to have our old friend Dave Ramil, who actually hosts a Miami Heat podcast, Locked On Heat. We're going to do a podcast hopefully tomorrow. The plan is tomorrow. I told him we can do the podcast tomorrow night, and hopefully I'm feeling okay after having a shot. So we'll see what happens there. So we'll probably leave more content for that. But like I said, there's a lot of interesting narratives around the Heat now going forward, especially the way they lost this series. Sorry, I'm scratching my eye. Other narratives I'm interested in right now, the Lakers now, in a 2-2 battle against the Phoenix Suns. Concerns though, because Anthony Davis, got hurt in Game 4, did not return, and now there's speculation of him not playing Game 5. And I've been saying all year, it's very simple. If Anthony Davis is healthy and LeBron James is healthy, this team should win a championship. If Anthony Davis is not healthy, they're toast. It's just that simple. In fact, I would go so far as to say if Anthony Davis is not healthy, the Lakers may actually lose the series. So something to look at going forward. The Clippers, of course, recovered from the 0-2 start to tie the series with the Mavericks. This team is so weird. This Clippers team is so weird. I'm rooting for them in the series, man, but gosh, they become more and more likable too. Also, because there's this ever since Kawhi Leonard got there, there's kind of this entitlement attitude that okay, we have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and these guys, and we're just going to waltz and go to the championship. And then last year they got knocked on their ass, blowing a 3-1 deficit against Denver in the second round of playoffs in the bubble, And then this year too, they supposedly, decided to, avoid facing the Lakers, early in the playoffs by going out to the 4th seed, and they got in trouble against Dallas. Now, we'll see how this rest of the series goes. So far, no home team has won a game yet, but I don't know. But like I said, with the Clippers, like talent-wise, there's no question. Talent-wise, they have one of the best rosters in basketball. I just think they lack a certain attitude, a certain leadership, and I think I've softened on Kawhi Leonard a lot in the last 2 years. Mainly because he's a guy that arguably a top 5'3" player in the league, but you hear reports of him coming to practice late, coming to games late, just not really a leader, very quiet, all that. They kind of need that. The Clippers kind of need that to go over the hump, and that's why we and look, I was guilty of this too a couple years ago with Kawhi. Really sucking into the Kawhi narrative. But this is why LeBron's better. This is why LeBron's even now better. LeBron is still that guy, the leader, the guy you put his team in his back, the guy who would be at practice early and all that. All those intangibles that we kind of don't see as fans because we're not there day to day. LeBron has those. Kawhi does not. That's simple. The Knicks, as I said, they who we thought were. Look, good year. Fantastic season, fun season, getting the base riled up. They win game 2 to tie the series at 1, and, they're having a parade out on MSG, which is ridiculous. I get the excitement, but come on now. And then Atlanta, as I predicted, Atlanta will win the next 2 games at home, and they did, and winning all convincingly, honestly. This series is over. The Hawks are a better team than the Knicks. Like I said, fun year for the Knicks, but they're not that good. I mean, they got lucky this year because of the circumstances, and fantastic coaching by Tom Thibodeau. Fantastic coaching. But if you're depending on Derrick Rose right now at this stage in his career as to be a lead dog, no disrespect to Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is obviously a legend. But if you're relying on Derrick Rose to win ball games at this point in his career, you're in trouble. It's that simple. So, and of course, right now, I think the Sixers are playing against the Wizards as I'm recording this. That's a 3-0 series. I think in the 4th quarter in that game right now. Other than that, we got obviously Denver and Portland tied it to what series is on there. By the way, back to the Heat thing real quick before we go further. For all the talk about the Heat getting swept, like I said in the mini pod I did a couple days ago, are we sure the Bucks aren't the best team in the conference? Because one of the things I think we forget is the Bucks were the number 1 seed the last couple of years in the East and then melted late in the playoffs. And then they tweaked the roster, but no one talked about it because of Brooklyn, what they did with, having Durant and getting James Harden, and of course Philadelphia, number 1 seed in the East. So all those things that happened, plus Miami winning the East last year, Milwaukee became kind of a side note, forgotten. And all of a sudden now Milwaukee just kind of out of the gate destroys a team that went to the finals last year. So, are we sure Milwaukee's not the best team in the East, or at least one of the best teams in the East? Milwaukee's finally figured out who they are. We'll find out in weeks to come, But, that was a statement against the Heat. So, anyway, so last night, AEW Double or Nothing, their second pay-per-view of 2021, first pay-per-view with fans, with full capacity fans. Can I just tell you, as a wrestling fan, how amazing it is to watch wrestling with a full crowd. Man, last night was fun. Man, it was fun. I know Dynamite Friday had a full crowd too, but I didn't watch the entire episode. But last night was a fun pay-per-view. I kind of just say it was in my opinion, and I know my co-hosts on the Take the Wrestling podcast disagree with me. We spoke on text, but I said it. This was, to me anyway, their best pay-per-view they've done since becoming the company in 2019. So, some pros and cons here. Some pros. Opening match, Adam Page, Brian Cage. We've been saying on the podcast, and I've been saying too, that Adam Page is the next guy in line. That at some point in the next 6 to 12 months, we will see Adam Page and Kenny Omega feud with Adam Page becoming the head guy in the company, becoming the number 1 guy in the company. And it seemed like during COVID, Adam Page they sort of slowed him down a little bit, hoping, and I think my opinion is that they want to wait for crowds to come before they could push Adam Page to the top. And now we're getting to that point now. And I think last night was the starting point, the first boost for Adam Page to get to, the top of the card. And beating Brian Cage. Brian Cage a fantastic in-ring wrestler, and that was a great match. I enjoyed that match. Here's some more pros from last night. Love the tag team battle between Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus the Young Bucks. Yeah, the Bucks win the match, whatever. And I know people hate the Young Bucks, and I'm not a fan myself. I think they have a lot of go-away heat. But one thing I think I will say once again is that, say what you want about the Young Bucks, as an in-ring talent, they are fantastic. You may not like who they are, how they act, and this whole gimmick they've done, whether it's a face or a heel, but as a team in-ring, they're fantastic. But I do love the Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston combo. By the way, now I'm being back to crowds again, and I think they signed Eddie Kingston right when COVID started. Eddie Kingston is way over with the crowd. So that may impact booking going forward. And I think also, too, the only reason they didn't pull the trigger on Moxley and Kingston win the match is because Moxley is going to be going away probably for a little bit with the birth of his child coming up soon. Him and Renee Paquette are due, I think, any day now, I think. I think I saw her, a picture of her recently on the internet, and she's like she's about to bust. So, but great match on the way overall. I also, another positive, I really, and this is the first time I think I really pay attention to this to the Casino Battle Royal concept. I love the concept, the Battle Royal, where they do it where they send a set of 5 guys, by suits, spades, clubs, hearts, diamonds, which by the way, being a poker dealer, that's kind of cool. And then they have one extra wild card, which is the Joker. So they'll send 5 guys out. You have 5 guys set per suit. You shuffle a deck, and whatever suit comes out, they send the first 5 out, and every 3 minutes they send the next suit out. And I love the concept. It's cool. And it's actually one of those things where it doesn't feel so drawn out. That match could still be a match that could be done in 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Because the way it's set up. Plus a Joker card. So that was cool. I love the concept. And by the way, Jungle Boy wins the Royal, the Battle Royal. Again, another guy who's a rocket ship being strapped now. Joe on Take 3, my podcast, Joe Lopez stated that he was hoping that Tony Khan and company would put the rocket ship on his back. This guy is too talented, and I think winning this is definitely going to create the opportunity now moving forward. Now, the biggest highlight of the night for me personally, and probably for the entire company, after 1 year, the women's title finally changes hands. Hikaru Shida, who's been the women's championship since last year's Double or Nothing, dropped the belt to Britt Baker. Now, Britt Baker has had a reset to her character a year and a half ago. She came when AEW started. She was, she was very green first off for starters. She was a babyface, but she never caught on. And then she took some time off. I think she got hurt, took time off, turned her heel, and it worked. And so we knew that Britt Baker was already over. We knew Britt was already over the crowd. And then COVID happens, of course. We knew she was over. Last night, and remember, she's a heel now. She's a heel. But last night, we found out last night she's way more over than we thought. So much that this might impact the way they book her moving forward. When she does the whole Britt Baker DMD and she chants it in the ring, the entire crowd's saying it with her. She might be the most over character right now on the entire roster. And I might even joke when I say that. They were with her the entire night. And, obviously the women's division has been really, let's be real, it's been mostly shitty since the start of this company. But it started to see some bright lights. I think changing the title to Britt Baker is going to really do some positive things moving forward. Now, for the record, I'm going to give a shout out to Hikaru Shida because for her to be the main, the top dog, top women's wrestler the last year, holding that together what she could, that division what she could. Gotta get credit for that. Especially a division that's been highly criticized by people, even people like me who love AEW, but understand that the division's been below average. But I think Britt Baker getting the title is really going to set this division to hopefully another level. Now, someone tweeted earlier today about like how the AEW women's roster is better than the WWE's, which is laughable. Not even close. Not even close. So, but Britt Baker winning the title, that's a big deal now for this company. The last positive from last night is Sting. Sting's first actual in-ring match at AEW. He was a tag team with Darby Allin, who they beat Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. Sting is what, 55, I think? Definitely 50s, mid-50s. He looked fantastic last night. I mean, he did a Stinger Splash, the Scorpion Death Drop. He was moving well for a guy his age. And I'm not saying they need to use Sting week to week. I think he should be used the way Undertaker was used also at WWE in his final years. Use as an attraction only. Use him sparingly. You can use him in storylines. Use him to get guys over. Don't use him to get over. Don't use him every week. That's what some guy tweeting yesterday about, oh, Sting could go into the title run. No. Sting is there to put guys over. And Sting's an attraction at this point. Okay, use him where he can make more impact. Because the more you use him, it loses luster. So, okay, he had his match here. They'll wrestle again for another 2 months. Maybe a random Dynamite. Or wait to the next pay-per-view, which is All In August. All Out. So, he was fantastic last night. All right. Some of the negatives. There's always negatives, of course. You know I enjoyed the show. Again, the show is too long. These pay-per-views are too damn long. Now, the one defense I'll give AEW is this, about being so long. Because they only do 4 pay-per-views a year. Because, it's literally every season. It's February, it's May, it's August, and November. It does somewhat make sense why they go 4 hours. But the thing is, they don't need to. Because I think some of the things is unnecessary, which is my next negative, is that not every single damn match has to be 50 minutes long. 50 minutes or over. There's some matches cut short. You don't need every match to have like 20 false finishes. You don't. You really don't. So shorten the matches that need to be shortened. That's all. I'm not saying shorten every match. It's just shorten the match you need to be shortened. It feels like every match they have is 50 minutes, at least 50 minutes longer. You don't need that. Cut the fat. Okay? Next negative from last night. You didn't need Miro versus Lance Archer last night. I said weeks ago, when Miro won the title 2 weeks ago against Darby Allin, that whole thing felt rushed. Miro wins the title, and Lance Archer goes to the ring in the same episode, and it's like minutes later. That makes no sense. Let it breathe. And they had the match last night. Miro wins, but the match had no impact. It didn't even need to be there. Save the match for a random Dynamite, or even for the next pay-per-view. Or what they probably should have done, in my opinion, was have Miro win the title on this show. But, some of the booking AEW doesn't make any sense either. So, but the Miro and Archer match wasn't needed. You could have saved time by not having a match at all. And it wasn't that it was a bad match, but it was the worst match of the night. It was, of all the 9-10 matches that they had last night, that was probably the worst match. Okay? Another negative. Too much Gaga, especially at the beginning of the show. It became too predictable. The first 2 matches between Adam Page and Brian Cage, and then, of course, a tag match between the Bucks and Kingston Moxley. Both had outside interference. Now, it made sense, honestly, for the first match, because on Friday's Dynamite, there was the angle about Brian Cage not wanting help. Was saying he just needed help from Ricky Starks and in the Team Taz. So it made sense when it came out there to threaten once again, and he said no. That made sense, because it fit with the storyline. We didn't really need it with the Young Bucks and Kingston Moxley. Actually, you probably did need it, but if you were going to do that, move that match to another time slot. Don't have those matches in the same, 1 and 2. Because now it looks like overkill now. Put that match fourth. And then you can do the same angle. I would have done the Casino Battle Royale second. And then done the tag match. So that wasn't booked properly. In terms of the placement. So I had a problem with the Gaga. But you have to spread it out, man. Because you had Gaga in that match. You had Gaga in the first match. You had Gaga in the world title match between Orange Cassidy, Kenny Omega, and Pac. With Don Callis getting involved. But again, that one didn't bother me either because that one was way at the end of the night. So, that's just that. So, overall, I gave this show A- because, again, one of the things I said that really hit me, that crowd was fucking hot last night. That crowd was heavy into it. Heavy. And it's so great. Before we get to the last topic of the show, one of my favorite podcasts, wrestling podcasts, is called Cheap Heat with Peter Rosenberg, and stat guy Greg is the co-host of this show. Well, I'm a big fan of it. It's great. He's great. He has great takes. I agree with most of his takes. But one take he had last week on the show, which the internet community was saying, "What the hell are you talking about?" In terms of getting back to crowds, he was saying and defending the fact that we didn't need crowds anymore. That he was hoping that we just stay where we're at, having the Thunderdome and just not having crowds, because it creates more opportunity for creativity for the company. I'm sorry, I have to disagree. Now, I can see his point, what he's saying, but ultimately, crowds drive professional wrestling. You need crowds. We've gotten so used to having crowds last year or so that last night watching Dynamite, watching WrestleMania in April, and seeing my boys Mike and Joe at the show, and just the energy of those crowds is why we need crowds back, because they drive the show. We don't know how over guys are or women are until we see the crowds react to them. Like, we knew Britt Baker was over, but man, she's way over than we thought. Eddie Kingston's over, we knew, but Eddie Kingston's probably the most popular solo guy right now in that company. And we didn't know that until last night, hearing the reaction. So crowds are needed. You cannot have pro wrestling without crowds. You cannot. I'm sorry. It's just not, and crowds, they drive the show. They drive the product. For all the shit I give wrestling fans, and believe me, wrestling fans are annoying as hell. They are annoying as hell. Crowds, they are still needed. Their input, the noise, and whatnot. Because again, how people are booked, the crowds influence that and discussion. So, anyway, one more topic before I go. As we said, we go, wrestling about the crowds, and and of course, us as a country and the world are getting back to normal. There's a lot of things I'm looking forward to doing this year. A lot of events I'm looking forward to attending and doing. The last year or so, and even before COVID, because I've been so focused on being a family man and, trying to make sure my bills are paid, make sure I have money saved and this and that, and trying to be, have my ducks in a row, I's dotted, T's crossed, all that. But the sacrifice you make of doing that a lot of times is waving away things, opportunities to do things, whether it be events, concerts, or, extra fun things, vacations, to stay ahead of the curve. This year, it's a lot of things I'm looking forward to doing. A lot of things, opportunities, to do things that make me happy, that give me joy in my life. So there's a lot of events now that are coming down in my area in the coming months. As I say, AEW Dynamite is going back on the road in July. Their first show they're doing on the road is down here in Miami, down here in South Florida, Miami, Florida, in July. My wife and I, my co-host Mike, his wife, probably a couple of friends, going to attend the show. Most likely, we plan to attend the show. I'm looking forward to that. My first AEW show. Then we just found out a couple of days ago, as WWE's announced they're going back on the road too as well, starting in July, that Raw is coming to Miami as well in September. which I believe is Labor Day as well. Now, my son loves WWE, so I'm hoping that we can make time to take him to the show. We'll see. This is the one thing I'm not sure if we're definitely doing or not, but WWE does come down here normally, South Florida, when things are normal. So maybe you don't go to the show, we go to another one next year or whatever. So, but we'll see what happens there. Then in November, Metallica, my favorite band on the whole planet, is coming down here in November. You remember last year when COVID started, I had plans to see Metallica for my 40th birthday in Daytona. Obviously, that concert got canceled because of you know what. They've now, I guess, rebooked the show. They're coming, doing 2 shows that weekend. It's a 4-day festival, Rockville. My wife and I are trying to work out what days to go see them. Because we're probably going to do 2 shows, one with Metallica, one without Metallica. That's November. Then in December, the New York Giants, my favorite football team in the world, is coming down here to South Florida to play the Dolphins. December, I think 6th, I think it is. I've never seen Giants live before, in person. They only come down here once every 8 years. And you guys know, Giants are my favorite team, Dolphins number 2. I root against Dolphins only once every 4 years, and that's when I play the Giants. So my brother and I, hopefully my best friend, and some other friends and whatever, are going to try to make this game. So there's a lot of things that are happening this year, 2021, as we open up to the world again, that I'm looking forward to doing in the months to come. Now, I may not do all these things. We'll see how things work out. But I'm trying to be a little more open to the idea of doing this now because, look, I'm 41 years old, and one thing we've learned in this last year and so odd months of being this pandemic is appreciating the things you do have and the things you can do. And I want to do that. So hopefully I can get to do most, if not all, these events in the months to come. So anyway, this is the one of the longer podcasts we've done in a while. So again, I am on Twitter at EJChristian7, Ernest Bacon Media at ernestbacon.net. Again, we moved Unfiltered Podcast onto this feed. So if you start seeing shorter podcasts on this feed, that's on purpose. So I guess till the next podcast, which I'm hoping to record next day, tomorrow, assuming that I am not knocked on my ass by the second shot vaccine. So, but until then, we will talk soon. Later. Thank you.